What's going on, fellow gamblers? Happy Thursday. Today is January 22nd. I got 4 official NBA picks for today. And of course, afterwards, we'll be going over the slate, going over leans, breaking down the games and stuff like that. We did have a positive day yesterday. Nothing crazy, but positive nonetheless. So you know what that means. We do have a giveaway winner. It's going to be Real Dill. Real Dill, make sure to DM me on X at TypeNSB. I'll get into contact with you so I can give you your $25. And of course, guys, if we do run it back, have another positive day, we'll be giving out $25 to someone who likes this video, comments anything down below, and is subscribed to the channel. So make sure to do all 3 of those things. With that being said, let's get into the recap of yesterday. So yeah, nothing crazy. Went 3-2 for like plus about a unit or so. Winner was Luka Garza over 12.5 PR. Guys, I actually got a little bit mad about that one because Amari Williams, who ended up getting some garbage time at the end, was ruled out at the start of the day. And then all of a sudden, before tip, he's active and took away some minutes from Luka. But lucky the matchup came through and he did, was good on a PR per minute basis. I guess I had a split here, Kalkbrenner. Like I said, man, I wish I could have just taken under 12.5 PR. It wasn't available in the morning when I wanted to, get it out before the video and stuff. So that one was a split, has 7 points and 4 rebounds, but only plays like 15 minutes. So I'm very happy with both of those. A late ad that I had was Jalen Duren over 21.5 PA. Gave that out on stream. That one was very sweaty. However, guys, it did come through. The Pelicans matchup was Swiss cheese. They should have given the ball to him more, not being biased because I was on his over. But guys, Jalen Duren, just an awesome player. I mean, he's a guy, you give him the ball like the free throw line, he takes you off the bounce. He's just so damn strong. And I feel like he could have dropped 30 if given the ball a little bit more. And then a loser, Kyle Kuzma over 1.5 threes. That one was plus 164. He took 2 threes in the first minute. He was being left wide open, ended 0 for 5, kind of got a little bit timid to shoot the 3 ball, as, some guys do when they start off like 0 for 3, 0 for 4. But yeah, I'm really happy with that read too. Just, didn't make threes. All right, guys. So the first play I went with this morning was Harrison Barnes to hit 2 or more threes. So over 1.5 threes. I did get it at plus 120. The line did move a little bit now to like plus 105 is best in market. Pretty widely available though, around like the plus 100 range. I still think that's good. And guys, so look, I take a catch and shoot guy against Utah a lot. Obviously, guys, 50% of Barnes's points are catch and shoot. All of his threes are going to be catch and shoot. They're dead last there. They're just like, the Jazz give up a ton of threes, whether it's above the break, whether it's corner, give up a ton of points to spot up. I mean, I don't really have to say too much, guys. We all know that the Jazz is like an amazing, amazing matchup for Harrison Barnes. But guys, this is kind of like why I am playing this. So if you look at last game, right? He closed 1.5 minus 111 at FanDuel, right, against Houston. So I know that ended up being a good matchup because Sengun was guarding him, and we took him live. But overall, Houston's a terrible catch and shoot matchup, a terrible 3-point matchup. And then, guys, against the Jazz, just 2 games ago, he closed minus 154 for over 1.5 threes. So honestly, guys, I see no reason why this line shouldn't be closing around minus 130, minus 140. Obviously, I got this in at plus 120, but honestly, like, up until like minus 120, I think this is like a pretty damn good value. And obviously, so there's still a ton of value left. So, like I said, we all know that this is a good matchup. We all know that it closed, minus 154 last time against Utah, just like a couple of games ago. Devin Vassell remains out. So, guys, I will address this because I know people are going to be in the comments talking about this. With Fox and Wemby and Castle, his hit rates have been very, very poor this year. Obviously, only over 9 out of 22. However, guys, he is just like shooting absolutely atrocious in the sample. Guys, what I did is like, we know the Jazz are like a bottom of the barrel team, right? Terrible against catch and shoot. They allow the most 3-pointers attempted, the second most to spot up, most to catch and shoot. So I did bottom 5 in all these, and they've actually played a lot of teams that rank there. You can see Barnes' volume, 3 for 5, 0 for 8, 0 for 4, 2 for 6, 2 for 4, 3 for 7, 1 for 5, 0 for 5, 2 for 4, 1 for 4. So he's gotten up at least 4 threes in every single game against like the teams that are bottom of the barrel at defending threes, averaging 5.2 attempts. So yeah, guys, I do think this is a spot for Barnes to get up like 5 to 6 threes or so against the Jazz. And yeah, man, just personally, I think this is probably strong. I think this should be around minus 140. Okay, guys, second play I'm going with here is going to be Quinton Post. I took him under 13.5 points and rebounds. So I believe that this is basically 12.5 everywhere. Is there any 14.5 PRAs? There is a couple 14.5 PRAs, guys. So if you have like the Caesars MGM, I would probably go there for sure. 14.5 PRA, but also I do think 12.5 PR is probably fine. So guys, this is a pretty simple read. So since December 6th, so Quinton Post, guys, if you add a couple games in here, since December 6th, he has started every single game, for the Warriors. But guys, if you do games with Draymond Green, games with Al Horford. Both guys are in here. And then you nail it down to like since he started, right? So he started starting December 6th. So since then, guys, if you look at his minutes in this game with Draymond and Al Horford, 19 minutes, 12 minutes, 14 minutes, 18 minutes, 13 minutes, 19 minutes, 13, 14, 18, and 14. Guys, he has yet to, as a starter, over this like last 10 game stretch with Draymond and Horford, he has not eclipsed 20 minutes in a game. He's actually maxed out at 19. His floor has been 12. So guys, if you just do on the year with 12 to 20 minutes, which is like where he's playing, right? He's just over this line in only 4 out of 22. The 13.5 line that I got was 19 out of 22 to the under. The PRA line that's still available, the 14.5, still looks pretty good. And then one last thing too, guys, is if we do these games, go back here to, and I should have done this initially, but if you do these with Draymond and Al Horford since he started. So this is what Draymond and Al Horford since he started starting. Like I said, it's a 10-game sample size. If you look at his minutes, guys, only averaging 15.4, right? So I do think 16 PR is a pretty good projection if we head over to my site, go to the Warriors. One thing I do want to show here too, guys, is if you take Butler off, if you guys are like concerned about Jimmy Butler playing, please do not be. Quinton Post, guys, with Jimmy Butler off the court this year, literally has a lower usage rate, and it's the worst on the team. So do not be concerned about Jimmy Butler being out. But guys, basically what I want to do, man, is just like project Post for 16 minutes. I think that's a good projection for him. As you guys can see, only averaging 7.2 points, 3.6 rebounds, 12 PRA, 10.8 PR. I think that's a very solid projection for him. So yeah. One last thing I do want to note too about the matchup with Dallas. If we go back to Props Madness, obviously, guys, Quinton Post is basically just a catch and shoot guy for the most part. He will, get in the paint every now and then, I guess. But the Mavs on the year do allow the fewest field goals made to catch and shoot. Over the last 10 games, the 5th fewest made. So I don't think this is a great matchup either. They are getting PJ Washington back. They are getting Cooper Flagg back. Daniel Gafford maybe should play. This defense really shouldn't be that bad. They do have decent personnel. And on the year, guys, they are 8th in defensive rating. So I don't think this is like a good matchup by any means. And yeah, I think this is way too high with Draymond and Horford both playing. Third play I'm going with here is going to be Kawhi Leonard. I took Kawhi under 29.5 points and assists. We'll see where that ended up, guys, but I am totally fine with taking like under 34.5 PRA. 34.5 PRA is still there. 29.5 PA is still there at DK. Like I said, I would probably take 34.5 PRA under instead of the 29.5 or the 28.5 PA. So yeah, guys, I totally get, fading Kawhi might be like a little bit scary, but if we look at Kawhi's minutes recently, so this Knicks game, he was playing super big minutes, and then this Knicks game, he tweaked his ankle. Then against the Nets, 28 minutes. 31 minutes, 31 minutes, 30 minutes. So guys, basically, since he tweaked his ankle, he's been like a 30-minute per game guy. Then, the injury was so bad that they had to rest him for a couple games. So he is questionable. First of all, don't know if he's going to play, but especially given that he's been hurt, he was around 30 minutes. Then he had to miss some games. I do have him playing only 30 minutes this year. And if you guys do, if we go over here and we just do Kawhi for 30 minutes, as you guys can see here, Kawhi per 30 minutes is at 28.2 PA, 33.8 PRA, guys. But that doesn't really tell the full story because, Harden and Zubac have missed some time, especially Zubac. If you do Harden and Zubac on the court, that drops down to 24.3 PA. Of course, guys, all of his minutes will not be, with those two on. But guys, let's go over to Props Madness and just do like in general games where with Zubac and Harden. And as you guys can see here, in games with Zubac and Harden, Kawhi is averaging 28.8 points and assists on 32.9 minutes. Of course, guys, we do have him playing 30 minutes. If you do games with, or if you do this on a per 30-minute basis, that does drop to 26.2 points and assists. And then, guys, we can do the Lakers too. I will say the Lakers obviously aren't a great defense, but JJ Redick does tend to be pretty aggressive against like first options and stuff. So, guys, if you do head-to-head with Harden and Zubac, or just like head-to-head against the Lakers, he's averaging 28.5 PA. But, guys, this is on 35 minutes. If you do per 30 minutes versus the Lakers this year, that's only 24.4 points and assists. And then if you do like last year, and this is versus the Lakers in the Redick era, right? So I took out the year before, but versus the Lakers in the Redick era, as you can see, guys, he's only had 25 PA on 32.3 minutes. So per 30 minutes versus the Lakers in the Redick era, he is at 23.3 PA against the Lakers. So, guys, basically at the end of the day, man, all the numbers, if he's going to play 30 minutes, this is a good bet, great bet in my opinion. And if he plays 31 or less minutes, I'm going to be happy with it. Fourth and final play, guys. This one does hurt my soul, but I did go with Anthony Edwards under 31.5 points. I would absolutely take under 35.5 PA. Is that still there? Yep. So 35.5 PA, I would go with that over 30.5 points for the under because, it looks like all the 31.5s in market are gone. But yeah, guys, if you look at here, the Bulls are actually very aggressive against like top options. You can see they allow the 4th fewest points to pull-ups, 10th fewest to pick and roll handler, 13th in isolation. And obviously, guys, there's like a pretty poor defense in general. But guys, the big thing that popped for me with Ant is head-to-head against the Bulls this year. As we can see, guys, he only had a 21.4% usage rate this year. That is actually Anthony Edwards' 3rd lowest usage rate of the entire season. So what I did next, guys, is I did like Anthony Edwards, because like I said, that's such a low usage for him. But guys, I did Ant with 30% or less usage, and then with 30 plus minutes. And if you look at this for Ant, 30 plus minutes, less than or 30% or less usage, you can see he's only averaging 25.1 points. Only averaging 4 assists, so only averaging 29.1 PA. Obviously, guys, had 27 PA against the Bulls in 32 minutes, but he did shoot mega efficient, as you can see, going 9 for 13 from the floor. We also do have a 9.5 point spread. I do think that this Wolves defense has a pretty good chance to be locked in here. Wolves are on a 3-game losing streak, so obviously, guys, I do think that blowout is in the range of outcomes here. I'm also a Wolves fan, fellas, and to be honest with you guys, Anthony Edwards like really struggles to get up for home games for whatever reason. So if you go to like just like 30 plus minutes this year and look at his splits on the road, he's averaging 38.2 PA, but let's just like look at points for the sake of this. He's averaging 34.5 points on the road with 30 plus minutes and only 28 at home. I don't know if that's like super sticky, but I don't know. Like I listen to like some Wolves podcasts and stuff, and like they bring it up too about like Ant just like, you know, at home he's not as like locked in or something, blah blah blah. I don't know if that's like real or not, but I did think I would mention it. I will say what is real, man, is that Ant does struggle to get up against like crappy teams, man. Like right, like he's playing against Wemby, he's playing against Shea, he's going to be engaged. He's playing against like any other star on the other side, you know, maybe like KD or whatever. He's going to get up, he's going to be, you know, trying to score 30 and stuff. Against these like crappy teams, like these Eastern Conference crappy teams at home, man, I just do not like this spot for Ant to be like fully engaged and putting like his foot to the gas in terms of scoring the ball, to be honest with you. So yeah, man, line feels high. We're definitely selling high on Ant here. Blowout probability is definitely high in my opinion. Bulls are going to be aggressive on him. I mean, we just saw what they did against Cam Thomas. Not saying Ant's just like a way better version of Cam Thomas, but Cam Thomas literally without Porter just only had 3 points. They are very, very aggressive against these guard number 1 options. Guys, before I get into the leans, I am going to quick shout out to Props Madness. This is the tool behind me. It is an absolute necessity to be a profitable bettor, in my opinion. I would be absolutely lost without it. So obviously I show this tool off a lot in these videos. And if you guys do think it could benefit you, make sure to use code SB25 and you will get 25% off your first purchase. So whether you want to buy a year, whether you want to buy a month, 25% off regardless. So guys, make sure to check out propsmadness.com and use code SB25 when you make your first purchase. All right, guys, game breakdown time. And there's not a ton of props here listed. I'm starting off with the Hornets and Magic. I did have one that I had a really strong lean on. Like I said, it's not exactly widely available right now. But I do really like Goga Bitadze. It was under 10.5 PR. So I know that there's not a line out, but I'm going to just set it at 10.5 right here. As you guys can see, there's no Jalen Suggs. I don't think that really matters a ton. Guys, there's been one game where he's played with Wendell Carter and Mo Wagner, and he only played 12 minutes. So, guys, if you do Goga with like 16 to 10 minutes, you guys can just see his hit rates are really, really bad. The Hornets are also like a really good rebounding team as well. So they could, you know, they do a good job. I believe they allow the fewest points per game to put back, or they're low. I mean, look at all these play types for Goga. They're all orange, red. So yeah, I'm probably going to hop in on some Goga unders, to be honest with you. I do want the 10.5 PR, but either or, guys, Goga Bitadze stuff feels very high with Mo Wagner and Wendell Carter back. And maybe Suggs ruled out. Whatever reason puts this line a little bit higher. I hope it does. We'll see. On the Hornets side of things, guys, I'm going to be honest. I do not have any opinions there. So I'm just going to skip over to the next game. Houston at Philly. I do have a couple thoughts. So Joel Embiid, guys, and Paul George. Paul George actually missed 2 games due to injury maintenance, which is a little bit concerning. But assuming that Paul George plays, Joel Embiid's probable. He's actually been pretty consistent with playing. Not saying you should trust that by any means. I do really like Kelly Oubre under. Obviously, guys, Houston allows the 3rd fewest points to spot up. 4th fewest to catch and shoot. Guys, Kelly Oubre, you know, he's had some really good games that are making this line high due to George being out and stuff, and he'll start. But if George doesn't start, he's not going to play big minutes. He's not going to get any usage if these guys are fully healthy. So under 11.5 points, if this line somehow still exists and Paul George and Joel Embiid are ruled in, I will 1,000% be on that. I think this line is actually way too high. Tyrese Maxey's a little bit intriguing. You do from time to time see the Rockets be really aggressive against number ones. We know he's going to get Amen Thompson on him, who honestly, that's like a nightmare matchup for Tyrese Maxey, in my opinion. That's probably like the worst because Amen just can move laterally so quick, but he's also so lanky. I think that's a really, really brutal individual matchup for Tyrese Maxey. Yeah, don't really have much thoughts on the 76ers besides that Oubre unders. I do think Thompson, just going back to the well, right? They do allow the Sixers do allow a lot of points in the restricted area, which is obviously great for Amen Thompson. So I am a little bit intrigued by him at 17 and a half points. Without Steven Adams, these guys are going to play a ton. Same with Sengun, man. I mean, Sengun really should be playing like really, really big minutes. If you look at him with like 30 to 40 minutes, which I would think he's going to play with Kevin Durant, I think this hit rate, okay, so this line moved. I liked it a lot more at 34 and a half. You can see he actually ends at 35 PRA a lot for whatever reason. But I do think Sengun is a tad intriguing. I think maybe even RA guys, especially at this 14 and a half line, makes a lot of sense. As you guys can see, averaging 16.5 RA with 30 to 40 minutes with KD. And then one thing, too, that I do like about his assists is that, and why you maybe shouldn't like points, for whatever reason, the Sixers do allow the second fewest points per game to post up. I don't think that they have like incredible post defense, especially with Joel Embiid being banged up. So what that means to me is that they're probably going to double Sengun. And yeah, so if you guys want to take like Sengun assists, if this drops down to like 5.5 minus 130, I think that's a really good look. But also maybe you could just go PR or RA. Like I said, I would want this to be 14 and a half to take that, but I do think that's a pretty good look. Eason too. I know I'm just like spewing out overs and stuff, but look, he only played 20 minutes last game. I do think that's going to go up. I wouldn't be shocked if he's in the starting lineup here. I don't know, man. I just think that if Eason's going to play like 24 minutes, and like I said, that's not a guarantee. He did only play 20 minutes there. I do think this line is pretty damn low for Tari Eason. If you do games with like Sengun and KD, he is at 17.4 PR on 23 minutes. So yeah, like I said, don't forget that he was starting, and Josh Okogie is not a long-term starter on this team, in my opinion. Going over to Denver at the Wizards, guys, honestly, I don't have opinions yet on this one. There's just a ton of injury stuff that we're waiting for. I think that Jonas Valanciunas is going to make a big impact because when Jonas Valanciunas is on the court, guys, it's just like he's super immobile. So teams they're gonna play a lot of zone, give up a lot of catch and shoot stuff. So guys, honestly, Jonas being in and out like really changes a ton for Denver. So I didn't spend a lot of time looking at this game, to be honest. On top of that, I just hate betting on Wizards props. Golden State at Dallas, do not have any opinions besides that Quinton Post under. Kuminga, guys, Kuminga being back in the rotation potentially. Obviously, he did play really good last game. You'd think Steve Kerr does go back to him. Is going to change a lot. So, yeah, but just tread lightly with those Kuminga, especially with those second unit guys. Their usage is going to be like all fudge and stuff with Kuminga back in there. So be cautious on that. I will note here, guys, I don't know how sticky this is. Brandon Williams, for whatever reason, only played 11 minutes last game. I don't think that's sticky, but it's something to keep an eye on. Only 6 first half minutes, too. Going over to Bulls, Wolves. Another person who I think is a little bit intriguing for the under. So, in my opinion, guys, the Bulls are going to be very, very aggressive on Ant here. They were also very aggressive on Randall. As you guys can see, Randall had 14 assists in 28 minutes against the Bulls. They really don't have anyone to guard Randall unless it's Jalen Smith. So, guys, Jalen Smith to me is a pretty strong opinion. I do think like 9.5 points, bro, feels pretty damn low. I don't know what his rebounds are at or his PRA is at. Looks like it's 19.5. But guys, basically, I know like Giddey is probably going to be back. So that's going to like put a wrinkle in things. But what I would do if I was the Bulls, and obviously I'm not the Bulls, but I think they need Jalen Smith to start so they have someone to guard Randall, right? Because if they start Giddey, White, and Okoro and Buzelis, then they don't have anyone to guard Randall. They'll put Okoro on Ant. They probably need Okoro to guard Ant, right? But it's like, Giddey, White, and Buzelis are all kind of like locked in starters. So I wonder what they do with the starting lineup, man. But I do think that they need Jalen Smith in there to guard Randall. And he's been playing. They've been playing a lot of double big lineups to begin with, anyways. So I do think that Jalen Smith's overs are pretty intriguing. You'll probably get some pretty good CLV if I'm right, and he is in the starting lineup. But yeah, that's kind of my Bulls thought. I also do like Buzelis' under. Like I said, I'm pretty positive, not positive. I'm pretty confident that Giddey's going to play here. And if you just do, Modest Buzelis with like pretty much everyone healthy, right? And you just like look at his minutes. Modest is like a guy who will absolutely lose minutes, when they're at full health. So, with them at pretty much full health, only 24.3 minutes for Modest. So if you just do him with like less than 28 minutes or something, and with Gideon White too, where his usage is going to go down a lot. I don't know, man. Modest PRA stuff feels pretty high. Not saying he's going to play 0 minutes or anything, but he does have like really crappy minutes in the range of outcomes. So I do think that if Giddey plays, this line is way too high for Modest, and it's probably something I will hop in on the under. And like I talked about with the Ant under 2. I do think that blowout in this game, has a decently high probability. Vucevic threes against Gobert makes a fair bit of sense. He shot 3 for 5 from deep against them last time in only 30 minutes. This is a pretty good price for him. So, yeah, I think it's a great spot for the role guys on the Wolves. Think that Randall, unless Smith starts, is probably going to get doubled a ton too. And obviously, I'm on Ants under. So, Spurs and Jazz. I'm on Harrison Barnes overs here. Was on Dylan Harper RA last time. Looks like that 6.5 line does not exist anymore. But I do think that going back to Harper makes a fair bit of sense. I will say I did like that spot a little bit more with the Spurs at home, but the Jazz still without Lauri Markkanen are going to be a pretty poor team. So yeah, Luke Kornet's questionable. I don't know what's going on with him, but if Luke Kornet doesn't play, and this isn't like a back-to-back situation, I don't believe for the Spurs. So you should see pretty good minutes for Wemby. He obviously cooked the Jazz last time. He hit 12 threes. I think they put Nurkic on him, but yeah, literally scored 33 points in 27 minutes. So, with the game being in Utah, especially if Kornet's out, guys, I wouldn't hate going to like a Wemby over and just like hoping that they can keep the game a little bit close. Lakers Clippers, going to be honest, guys, outside of that Kawhi under, really don't have any opinions here. I will say, guys, just be careful with like minutes. They are kind of playing the bench guys a little bit more, and they're trying to manage Zubac a little bit, it seems. Going over to Miami at Portland, guys, I do have a very, very strong opinion. Reason I didn't play this is because I don't think I'm going to get good CLV on it. So, guys, without Ware last game, Bam only closed at 21.5 PA, minus 106 against the Kings, which are a very, very good matchup, right? It's a spot that the Bucks are going to price into that. So I'm going to end up playing Bam overs here. I will say if Ware gets ruled in, this line will probably close at 20.5. If Ware gets ruled out, it'll probably still close at 21.5. So I just don't see the point of not waiting. But guys, Bam against Klingon, his threes are a great look. And looks like people are betting that up right now. But basically, guys, Bam, we know he doesn't even like to score at the rim. But this short mid-range area, the threes, he's going to be able to take a jump shot every single possession with Klingon guarding him. And also be used as a hub, right, with Klingon and drop. So, which is why I would want to get PA in there. But I'm going to end up being on Bam stuff. And another thing that's worth noting too, guys, is if you go over to my site, Bam and Ware don't share the floor together anymore. So, and Bam sees like has pretty good splits with Ware off the court, right? So if you do Ware off the court, you can see Bam, his point average sees a 1.3 boost. If you do Bam per like 33 minutes or so with Ware off, he is at 19.6 points and 2.9 assists. Like I said, I just kind of like the assist spot, but yeah, and then the PA is at 22.6. Like I said, if Ware's out, you'll probably see maybe have a few more minutes or so. But like I said, I'm going to end up on this play. Like I said, if Ware's in, though, this is going to close 20.5, I would think, and then I'll snag it up there. But if not, this is the play that I'm going to be on regardless anyways. On the Blazers side of things, I do just want to share a couple thoughts. So this is the front end of a back-to-back. So Drew Holiday and Jeremy Grant are not going to play in the back-to-back. Same with Robert Williams. All these guys are questionable. It's just a little bit confusing on who's going to play or not. Drew Holiday, man, you'd think at some point he's going to get up to like 24 minutes. And when he does, this line is too low if he's going to play 24 minutes just straight up. But yeah, this should be a fun game, man. Denny Avdia, this is probably a really good environment for him. Like if you see how he plays, he just like loves playing with pace. So against the Heat last time, guys, I mean, he had a 52 PRA game with everyone healthy in only 37 minutes. I think this game environment is like perfect for a Denny Avdia, and obviously his numbers in the game prior against them back that up. So I will say be a little bit cautious with Denny. I was on his over last game, and it seems like he was definitely on some sort of a minute restriction after missing a little bit of time with that back injury. That could easily be gone, though, with, 3 days of rest or so. So, yeah, thought I'd note that with Denny. I think this is a great environment. I do not think it's a good environment for Donovan Klingon, though, personally. Against the Heat, they only played him 21 minutes. I don't know, man. They just play too fast. Klingon's a very slow guy. I wouldn't be shocked if this is kind of like a crappy spot for Klingon because they just play so damn fast. Fellas, that's going to do it for today's video. As always, I do appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure to drop a like, sub to the channel, comment down below to be entered in the giveaway. And I will be live tonight at 7 o'clock for the little slate breakdown. Then we'll watch along after. So tune into that if you do want to. We'll be like 7 o'clock to 9 p.m. Eastern time-ish. With that being said, fellas, I do appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys either tonight or tomorrow.